Chapter 8. Soon, Jinsei had no time to think about other things. Because the capital had imposed martial law, he hadn't been able to sneak into the city last time. This time, he led a group of refugees to storm the city gates, leading to relaxed defenses and a great deal of chaos. It was a good opportunity to infiltrate the capital. He made up an excuse to leave the young family and disguised himself as an imperial guard to easily sneak into the palace. The emperor had a lot of loyal ministers in the court. If he died and the young crown prince quickly followed, the ministers would inevitably get suspicious and cause a lot of trouble. Therefore, the Empress Dowager didn't dare arrogantly touch the crown prince, planning to wait for his son to succeed the throne, then slowly poison the crown prince, so he could follow in his father's footsteps. Jinsei smoothly contacted the young crown prince, but when leaving the place, he was accidentally spotted by some patrolling guards, leading to a city-wide manhunt. At the same time, a young servant boy of the Shu family had also delivered some news. General Ding Yuan, heir to the Shenwei Marquisate deputy general, and the man the master was searching for, had very consistent characteristics. He was 6 feet tall, looked majestic, well-built, and smoked tobacco every day, which earned him the nickname Chimney in the army. Yuansheng was overjoyed at the news. He immediately spent a lot of money to bribe the capital's gate guards and snuck into the city, staying at the inn across from General Ding Yuan's residence, ready to guard a tree stump waiting for rabbits. After waiting for a whole day and never seeing the man's visage, he felt quite disheartened and returned to his room to rest after a late dinner with Tweety and Lu Shi. Gongji, your bath is ready. Please get in. The inn servant filled the large wooden barrel behind the screen with hot water and flatteringly handed over a basket of flower petals. What's this? Yuansheng pointed to the basket of flowers, the corner of his mouth twitching. This was prepared by a maidservant who said it would leave a sweet fragrance after the bath. I'll help Gongzi sprinkle some into the barrel. Tweety and Lucy thought that their young master had come to the city to meet his lover, so naturally they envisioned everything. It was too late for Yuansheng to block it, so he had no choice but to throw a piece of silver to the overly attentive inn-worker, then stared at the floating petals stunned. Forget it. He could even give birth now. Why should he care about this kind of thing? He smiled self-deprecatingly, took off his clothes, and slowly sank into the water. Halfway through the bath, the window behind him was suddenly forcefully pushed in. A hooded man in black halted by the barrel and stared at him, astonished. More precisely, he was staring at the cinder between his eyebrows. "You're a gare," the man in black blurted out. "Little Black?" Yuansheng quirked his eyebrows, hearing messy footsteps downstairs. He dragged the stunned man into the barrel and pressed him under the water, then quickly closed the window. Fortunately, the water was filled with petals, concealing everything. The door burst open, and a row of soldiers carrying swords rushed in from behind the screen. All were dumbfounded at the sight of a young man clutching his chest, looking terrified. "Who are you guys? How dare you trespass into my room? I'll let you know. I'm the Left Army Commander's Lord Fei's fiancé. If you offend me, you have hell to pay." Yuansheng didn't say this without reason. The Empress Dowager's maiden family had control over the 5 great troops of the Right Army and was trying to win over the Left Army to help her fight against Jinsei's Middle Army. She naturally didn't dare offend the Left Army commander. Plus, Lord Fei's wife had indeed died and was planning to marry a second wife. The man in the bathtub was already extraordinarily beautiful, but his anger made him even more beautiful. The cinder between his brows was red like it could drip blood. Such a stunning beauty could only be enjoyed by the rich and noble. The soldiers hurriedly glanced at each other, then promptly retreated behind the screen. After randomly searching under the bed, wardrobe, and any other place where a person could hide, they pleaded for forgiveness before heading out. Tweety and Lucy quickly locked the door. Chinse burst out of the water and asked through gritted teeth, "You were engaged to Fei Wen Hai?" It was a ploy. Julian Shang waved his hand indifferently. He'd wrapped on a robe after stepping out of the bathtub. He'd never thought of himself as anything but a man. He wasn't the slightest bit shy in front of Chinse. Chinse stared at his perky buttocks and slender straight legs, his nose heated up. 2 lines of blood unexpectedly started trailing out. His crotch was also painfully tight, like it was about to explode. Sheng tied his belt and walked barefoot to the table to pour some tea, then asked, "Why did you suddenly turn up here? You even being chased by officers?" "It's hard to explain." Chinse immediately washed away the nosebleed, but he didn't dare stand up from the tub, afraid that the huge sea creature would be discovered by the young man. Julian Cheng already knew everything. He naturally wasn't interested in questioning further. Even if he didn't know, he also knew the principle of less said, less slip-ups. He walked up to the tub and smiled. "How about we make a deal?" "What deal?" Chinse took a deep breath, refusing to look at the youth's perfect body, clearly outlined under his damp clothes. "I'll help you escape the hunt, and you'll forget about me being a Gare." "Why don't you let people know you're a Gare?" Chinse glanced at him and quickly looked away. He pushed down his inner glee as he added, "Since I've seen your body, I should take responsibility." "If you take responsibility for me, what about Zhang Shulin? Don't you guys already have a fixed engagement? Don't tell me you want one of us to be the wife and the other to be a concubine." "Where did you get such a big ego?" Julian Shang sneered, then added, "I don't need you to take responsibility. I already have a sweetheart. Frankly, I came to the capital just to meet him." Chinse originally wanted to explain his relationship with Zhang Shulin, but his mind blanked after hearing the last sentence. He only felt as if his chest had been cleaved by someone, pulling out his beating heart, squeezing and stabbing. The pain was unbearable. He hated himself for rashly agreeing to Zhang Shulin's request, but even more he hated the person Zhu Xiyu had fallen in love with. He'd do anything to find that person and tear them to pieces. "Who's your sweetheart? I wonder if I can have the pleasure of meeting them." His heart was already filled with murderous rage, but his face was expressionless. Wait for me to find him, then ask this again." Jun Sheng waved his hand, feeling dejected. "You haven't found him yet? Good, then he will disappear forever." Chinse lowered his eyelids, blocking the killing intent in his eyes. After soaking in the cold water for a long time, he climbed out of the tub and changed into the clean clothes the young man handed him. Two people had vastly different builds. The two people had vastly different builds, so the fabric was stretched taut on Chinse, sketching out his muscular frame, built over years of leading troops. Zhou Yunsheng glanced at him, then quickly looked away, feeling a little uncomfortable. Just like his lover, this man was also a walking hormone dispenser. "I'll sleep on the bed, you take the floor." He took out an extra set of bedding from the cupboard and threw it at Chinse's feet. "Naturally." Chinse quickly spread out the bedding, then said in a deep voice, "There's one more thing I have to correct for Gongji. My name's not Little Black, it's Chinse. Little Black, such a disgraceful nickname. Did Zhang Shulin take him, a majestic military commander, for a dog?" Zhu Yunsheng chuckled in Schadenfreude. "Got it, Little Black." Chinse's eyes flashed, but he unexpectedly didn't refute. It was the same name, but when Zhu Yu called it, he actually felt a sense of satisfaction of being willing to go through water and sweat on fire for him, disregarding everything. It seemed that he had fallen head first. After laying down the bedding, the two men put out the light and laid down to sleep. With his beloved in close proximity, Qinse was somewhat antsy. He recalled his daydreams over and over again, his breathing gradually roughening. He immediately turned over, staring at the silhouette behind the canopy with a hot gaze. His lower body was hard, nearly bursting, but when he'd finally reached his endurance limit and was planning to knock out the youth and put all his ideas into practice, the youth spoke up first. "You keep tossing and turning. Can't you sleep?" "Yes, I rarely sleep in the same room as others. I'm a little uncomfortable." Qinse froze, slowly adjusting his breath to a relaxed state. "Me too. Just put up with it for now. We'll leave the city early tomorrow morning." "How will we get out of the city?" "In disguise, of course." "Disguised as what?" Qinse led the youth into a chat while his hand was comforting his lower body. In his mind's eye, the youth's flushed red cheeks and misty teary eyes appeared. He had strong self-control. Even if his body and soul were trembling and frantic for the young man, his breathing was stable. Zhu Sheng laid out tomorrow's plan, then unconsciously fell into a deep sleep. Qinse finally relaxed, his wolf-like gaze locked onto the youth for a long time, unwilling to leave. The next day, Zhou Sheng ordered Tweety to buy some cosmetics. With his superb makeup skill, he disguised Qingse as a 60-year-old man. His handsome face was now full of wrinkles, and even his neck and the back of his hand had sagging skin. His hair and eyebrows and beard were all grey, and his stooped body staggered with every step, looking like he had one foot in the grave. Even if Qinse's father and mother were standing in front of him, they definitely wouldn't be able to recognize him. The two took the carriage out of the city. This time, Zhou Yuncheng didn't cover up the cinder between his brows. With a large sum of money supplemented by charm, how could the city gate guards resist him? They only slightly questioned the two before letting them go. When they were nearing Zhangjia village, after determining that no one was tailing them, Qinse removed his disguise and pulled Zhou Yunsheng's arm, urging, "Cover up your cinder." He didn't want anyone to discover the secret before the imperial court was stabilized. Zhu Ziyu could only be his. "I don't need you to remind me." Zhou Yunsheng snorted coldly. "Cover it now." Qinse refused to relax one bit. Helplessly, Zhou Yunsheng had no choice but to take out the flesh-colored powder to cover up the mark. Qinse was finally satisfied. He hopped out of the carriage and headed straight for the barracks stationed 10 li away. After discussing the rescue plans with his deputy general, he returned to the Zhang family during the night. Zhang Xulin was very happy to see him, but didn't jump on him like usually, standing still and exposing a tangled expression instead. Zhang Jiarui bluntly asked, "Brother Little Black, have you recovered your memories? What is your identity? Someone just secretly sent us a few hundred chatties of rice and a roll of banknotes. They said it was to return our kindness. This kindness could only count as them saving Little Black. It's fine for you guys to accept the rice and banknotes. My identity is inconvenient to announce, but you will naturally find out in the future. Also, don't spread this matter to others. You might provoke a family line-ending disaster." Qinse's gaze was malicious. It was as if the honest and open Little Black of before never existed. Zhang Xulin paled and fried. He immediately nodded and expressed his willingness to keep his lips zipped. But Zhang Jiarui guessed a few things, then asked, his eyes slightly bright, "Then does your marriage to my brother still count?" If this person really was the inexplicably missing heir to the Shenwei marquisate, then the Zhang family would flourish, and he'd also rise through his career like a rocket. It naturally doesn't count. Chinse didn't hesitate to deny. Zhang Jiarui's wholehearted expectations instantly crashed. He angrily opened. Who would have thought that the dignified army commander was the type of despicable man who goes back on his words? You're very clever, and you like to show off your cleverness. Strange how people like you always die the fastest, Chinse expressionlessly replied. I, Chinse, really did promise, but I will not throw away a lifetime of happiness for a promise. There are many ways to repay kindness. It's not worthwhile to use my body as compensation. I lost my memories, not my sanity. If you guys are sensible, you obediently accept my gratitude, and this loan will be settled. If you're not sensible, I have plenty of ways to make you sensible. For the first time, Zhang Xulin realized that the person in front of him was the untouchable heir to the Shenwei marquisate, the frighteningly powerful army commander, not the honest and simple little black. He nodded helplessly, his eyes red. No matter how resentful Zhang Jiarui felt, he also knew that an egg couldn't hit a stone. He had no choice but to let go of his wealth and honor let go of the wealth and honor that was within his grasp. Chinse bid the Zhang family farewell, then disappeared into the night without taking anything with him.